Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and salam sejahtera. So untuk video kali ini kita akan mempelajari lesson 1 topik 6 iaitu topik periodic table, classification of element in the periodic table. So how to classify our element in the periodic table. So we will classify the element into period, block and group using the electronic configuration. To classify the element into period, block and group, we will use our current electronic configuration that we have learned in topic 5. Okay, so consider the following example. We have potassium, phosphorus and manganese. We will use the electronic configuration of those three elements to determine their periods, blocks and group. Can you write the electronic configuration for potassium? So what is the electronic configuration for potassium?
So the electronic configuration is 1s square, 2s.
1s2.
Oh yeah, 1s2, 2s2, 2p6,
Okay.
3s2, 3p6, and 4s1.
4s1. Okay, good, Justin. Thank you. For phosphorus, I want Shawal. Give me the electronic configuration for phosphorus.
1s2,
1s2,
2s2,
2s2,
uh, 2p6,
okay, 2p6,
mm,
3s2,
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 3p3.
3p3. Okay, good. Thank you, Shawal. Okay, how about manganese? Manganese 25, Fatin.
1s2, 2s2,
Mm-hmm.
2p6,
Mm-hmm.
3s2,
Mm-hmm.
3p6, 4s2,
Mm-hmm.
3d5.
3D5. Okay, good. So we will use this electronic configuration to determine their periods, blocks and groups. So how? Okay, first we need to to determine the period. Okay, first we need to determine the period. So the period in the periodic table are numbered from 1 to 7. So which one is the period? The horizontal row or the column? Or the vertical column? Which one is the
Horizontal.
period? Huh?
horizontal.
Okay, the horizontal row. So how do we determine the period from our electronic configuration? We will determine the period from the electronic configuration by considering how many shell that is occupied by electrons. Okay, we need to consider how many shell that is occupied by electron. So let's say if we have potassium, so for potassium, how many shell is occupied by electron?
4.
Four. Okay, there are 4 shell that is occupied by electron. How do you see from the electronic configuration which number that represent the number of shell? Which number in this electronic configuration that represent the shell? The number that appear
The front.
on the front of your electronic configuration. The number 1, the number 2 here, the number 3 and the number 4. So this number represent the shell. So for this one, we know that the electron are in shell 1. And then this one
Shell 2.
in shell 2. This one?
Shell
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 3.
3.
Shell 3. This one?
Shell 4.
Shell 4. Okay. So how many shell that is occupied by electron for potassium?
4.
4.
4.
So the potassium are in period 4. Okay. The answer is uh 4. Okay. The potassium are in period 4. How about phosphorus for question B? Phosphorus, how many shell is filled by electron?
3.
3.
3. So the period is
3.
3. Okay. For manganese?
4.
4.
Sorry? 4. Okay, it is 4. Understand any question to determine the period?
No.
No. Okay, good. We will proceed to determination of the blocks. So element in the periodic table are classified into 4 main blocks, which is S, P, and P, D, and F block. So where is the position of S block? Is here. You will see the blue one. That is the position of S block element. And then we have P block element here. Okay. And then we have D block element. And then last one is the F block element. So how do we determine the position of element in which blocks is by using electronic configuration. To determine the block, you need to consider which orbital is filled by your last electron. Okay, for example, for our potassium, our last electron is filled which orbital? Okay,
For
for
S.
S orbital. So means that potassium is in S block. Okay, understand?
Understand.
Okay, for phosphorus, which orbital that is filled by our last electron?
P.
P.
Which
P.
P? We have
P.
two P here.
3P.
Two P and three P. Which P?
3P.
3P.
So
3.
means that uh, phosphorus is in the P block. Okay, how about manganese?
3D.
So means that manganese is in which block?
D.
D
D
block.
block.
Okay, understand?
Block.
Understand?
Yeah.
Okay,
Understand.
good. Okay, for groups, how to determine the groups? Same as what you have learned in your SPM level. To determine the group, you need to know the number of valence electron. So, the number of valence electron, to determine the number of valence electron, we need to consider the block. Where is your element lies? Okay, so for the element that is in S block, okay, for the element that is in S block, your valence electron will lies on orbital ns1, 2, and s2. Okay, for element in S block, the valence electron will lies in ns1, 2, and s2. So what is n here? N is the outermost shell. You need to determine what is the outermost shell of your elements, okay, based on the electronic configuration. Okay, so for D block, the valence electron is lies in this orbital, the ns2 and n minus 1 d1, 2 and s until n minus 1 d10. Okay, so your uh, valence electron is lies on in orbital ns and n minus 1 d orbital. Okay, so for p block, your valence electron are in orbital ns and np. Okay, ns and np. So the n here is same, which is the outermost shell. So the number of valence electron will determine the group. So when what you see here, for element in S and D block, the group number is equals to the number of valence electron. For P block, the group number is equals to number of valence electron plus 10. Okay, so we look at the example. Okay, we have potassium. So we know that potassium is lies in S block, right? Betul?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
bila potassium berada dalam S block, di mana valence elektron potassium? Mana satu valence elektron potassium?
Satu.
Mana?
For S1 tu kan.
For
S1.
S1 is the valence electrons, because tadi kita kata untuk S block dia punya valence electron kan berada pada NS. N ini NS orbital kan. And ini represent the outermost shell.
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 Betul kan? So outermost shell for potassium is berapa?
4.
4 kan? So
4.
bila dia 4, so 4S lah. So how many electron in 4S?
1.
1.
So we know that the group number for S block is equals to number of valence electron, betul? So our group is
Group 1.
Group 1.
1. Okay, good. Sebab dia sama. Bila dia valence electron dia 1, maksudnya group number dia 1. Kan dia sebabkan dia daripada S block. Okay, cuba phosphorus. Phosphorus tadi kita kata dia dalam P block. Okay, kita tahu bila P block, the valence electron are in an S orbital dengan NP. So N here is the outermost shell. So what is outermost shell in phosphorus?
3P3.
Outermost shell. 3 kan?
3P.
So means that the valence electron are in orbital.
Orbital P.
Orbital P?
3.
3.
Orbital.
Look here.
3S, 3P.
3S and 3P. Okay. The valence electron of phosphorus is in orbital 3S and 3P. So total valence electron here is
5.
5.
5.
So valence electron is 5. So group number
Group 15.
15. Because for P we need to add 10 to the valence electron to determine the group number. Okay. How about manganese? Okay, manganese is D block, right? So for D block, we know that our valence electron are in orbital NS and N minus 1 D. So our N here is the outermost shell. Okay, so our outermost shell is
4S.
4. Our outermost shell is 4. Okay, so 4S and 4 minus 1 D. So means that our valence electron are in orbital 4S and
3D.
D. So where is 4S and 3D here? Hujung ni kan? So how many electron?
7.
7.
So means that manganese are in group
7.
7. Okay, that's all for our video today. So hope you can understand on how to classify the element in periodic table. So the classification is involving to into period, groups and block using electronic configuration. Assalamualaikum.